What's up, guys? Welcome to the Impact Sports Podcast. You guys have not met me before, but my name is Aiden. I'm a big Patriots fan, which what most of this podcast will be about. Baseball season, I'll be talking about the Red Sox. Basketball season, which is right now, I'll probably be talking a lot of Celtics. But first, I'm going to be talking about the Patriots season overall. I just think it's an important thing to talk about because of how good of a season they had. Um, it was a great season overall, and I think Um, the MVP performance of Drake May in the regular season was a great step for this franchise after Brady left. So I'm gonna go over every game that happened. Um, Starting off with the Raiders Patriots. This was a game where I thought that this team was gonna be a repeat of last year, another rebuild year. Obviously the Raiders we all thought the Raiders were going to be okay this year. I don't think anybody really thought they were going to be the worst team in the league this year. They ended up being the worst team in the league this year. I think they could have been much better, and they just weren't. Geno Smith was one of the worst quarterbacks in the league this year, and it was a rough loss at home to start the year, where everybody was kind of down on the Patriots. Like nobody thought they were going to make the playoffs after it. Which I came into the season confident that Drake May will take a huge leap his second year, and was kind of very like disappointed with the week one performance that happened. I think it could have been much better. But it didn't end up that way. And then we went on to week two. We beat the Dolphins, which really showed like Drake May being comfortable with the offense, which is the first time I saw him really get comfortable throwing the ball. Um, I think he had. Hold on, let me see. Let me see real quick. See how many yards this guy had. He went 19 for 23, 230 yards, two touchdowns, which is over a 70% completion percentage, which he had a lot this year. Just really saw the offense shine, which we haven't seen in a while. We didn't see the offense shine since like 2022 or 2021 Mac Jones year, where it was just that was an insane year, insane run for Mac Jones, which we really never saw again. But we saw a good game out of the entire Patriots offense, and you thought, oh, maybe we could get something going here. But you go on to the Steelers Patriots in week three, demoralizing loss. You had Stevenson fumble two or three times. Never really we got to the goal line a couple of times, and there's just the Ramondre Stevenson fumbles really just like made the Patriots lose this game, which a lot of people were out on Stevenson after this game. A lot of people were calling for Stevenson's job, wanting him to get cut, which you'll see a lot in these next coming games where he improves a lot. But this game was just very hard to watch. A very hard game to watch, mainly because it was a very winnable game. You had the Steelers who weren't that good against this Patriots defense. You had the opportunity to win, and the offense couldn't get going with the fumbles and the turnovers, and it just led to the second Patriots loss in the season. So they start off 1-2, not what you think of a Super Bowl team starting as, but we'll see going through the season their drastic improvement. And we go on to the next week, Panthers Patriots, where the Patriots dominate. They dominate this game. They dominate in all three phases. Special teams, which you had Marcus Jones return for a touchdown. You had Drake May have a solid game, 14 for 17, 203 yards, two touchdowns. Just completely consistent. Diggs, 100-yard game. Just dominant. The starters were benched in the fourth quarter because they were blowing them out by so much. That's a game you want to see as a Patriots fan. That's a game that everybody was excited to see. Um, just a great game overall. I think That's when the momentum really started going. You could argue it's the next week against the Bills where they, shined. The Bills game was when I was convinced that this team was able to do damage in the division, which let's talk about that game real quick. Um, they beat the Bills 23. Oh no, not 23. I got the wrong game here. My bad. Uh, yeah, 23-20. The Patriots beat the Bills on October 5th. This was a battle. This was a battle. The Bills had their whiteout jerseys on, playing their style of football. The Patriots defense really stepped up this game. You had a Drake May make some insane throws, or a couple to Diggs. There was one where he was mid sack, got the ball away to Diggs for a first down to keep a drive going for an Andy Borregales field goal, which was great, like a great game to watch. Gave me a lot of hope back as a Patriots fan. A game that was just awesome to watch. And then you went on to the Saints here. 25-19. It was a slow start. Slower start than I thought it would be, but they ended up getting the win pretty easily. There wasn't really any show of the Saints showing life in this game, even what the score indicates. It was a good win in the Superdome. I would kind of wish they won by more, knowing how the Saints did this year. They had a solid year, going to Tyler Shuck, but this was Spencer Rattler starting for the Saints. I think it could have been an extra more of a blowout. Then you go on to the Patriots Titans, where the Patriots just dominated the Titans. This was Vrabel's coming back game, and I think it showed. I think Vrabel had he won't admit it, but I think he had something extra for this game. They beat the Titans 31-13, just in a dominant game. All right, so we go to the Browns Patriots. I think this game was just dominant from the Patriots offense. At times. I'm pretty sure Myles Garrett had 5 sacks during this game, which is obviously a record-breaking year for Myles Garrett. He broke the sack record for the NFL, which he's just a dominant player. It's sad that he's on the Browns, that he can't really get anywhere in the playoffs or anywhere in general. But it was a dominant game for Myles Garrett, but the Patriots were able to overcome it just from the Browns' talent anywhere else. 32-13 final there. Just this is where you start going on a run. This is where you start going on a run. You have 4 straight wins here. You go on to the Falcons, which is a very close game. Which I think it showed there a little bit of a battle test for the Patriots in general, offensively, and defensively. I think this close win ended up just showing the Patriots just emotionally having to make the Falcons stop at some point in the fourth quarter. It was a 9-0 in the fourth. I think the Falcons were trying to battle back, and the Patriots finally put their foot down in the fourth. It was a closer game than I expected it to be. They ended up being fine after that. So then we go on to the Patriots Buccaneers, which everybody thought the Buccaneers were good. They ended up having a big fall off there. Um, it's 28-23 final. This is a game where it was just haymaker after haymaker from the offenses, and I think the Patriots just ended up coming on top, and the Patriots defense did well in the second half to keep the Buccaneers quiet, which ended up being a 28-23 win. And then we go on to Thursday Night Football against the Jets, 27-14. Patriots win. This was a dominant game. It wasn't really supposed to be a 2-score game. Drake May had a good game. The entire offense had a good game. The defense had a good game. The Jets couldn't get really anything going, which is what most of the year was for the Jets. Good win at home with their winter jerseys, which I love, by the way. The Patriots winter jerseys should come back another year, in my opinion, as alternates. But we'll see about that. But yes, Patriots win 27-14 in that game. Then they go on to the Bengals. Um, without Joe Burrow. This was a game without Joe Burrow. One of the last games without Joe Burrow. This is a Joe Flacco game. The Patriots started off slow. You had a Drake May interception to start the game. You really thought this was going to be the one stinker that they were going to have. But they regrouped mainly in the second quarter and second half. They regrouped for a 26-20 Patriots win. They needed to be tested. They started off slow and they were very tested emotionally. They got the win. They didn't give up. It was 26-20 game. I think that shows a lot of what Mike Vrabel is as a coach. He doesn't want his players giving up, even if they start bad. And that's what most of the season was a battle, a team that wanted to go to battle. And Mike Vrabel showed that he's a player's coach. He pushed his players, and the players answered back to his call. And I think that's what made this team really good this year is the coaching from Mike Vrabel. Then you have the Giants Patriots before the bye week. This was a game with hits. Christian Ellis made 2 hits, one on Jackson Dart to send him flying out of bounds, and one to Gunnar Olszewski, which gave him unfortunately a concussion. Just showed the defense what they can do. The defense did awesome this game. Yes, the offense did good, but this was a defensive game for the Patriots. This is the hardest hits I've ever seen was in this game. They tried to hit them hard. They tried to demoralize them, and it worked. This was the Patriots win 33-15. Just a great game. Though this was the end of the Patriots streak here, December 14th against the Bills at Gillette. This was just unfortunate. They had a 21-0 lead and just ended up falling in the second half. Josh Allen went on superhero mode, just played his style of football, and the Patriots took an unfortunate loss at home. I remember sitting watching this game, thinking maybe this needed to happen. They needed a loss. They were on, if I'm not mistaken, 10-game winning streak. This is a loss that needed to happen for them to come to playoffs with a loss and not carrying a big winning streak on their back. They made it to the Super Bowl, but lost there. But I think this was a good learning experience for the team, choking that 21-0 lead, knowing that shouldn't happen again, which is another coaching moment from Mike Vrabel. I think that was a good coaching moment. Now you go on Sunday Night Football, Patriots Ravens. This was a great game. This was pretty sure a comeback win from the Patriots, if I'm not mistaken, in the fourth quarter. Drake May really showed why he was a runner-up for MVP this year in this game. Just making the throws, made a good throw to Kyle Williams for a touchdown. Just a game that showed what it's like to be a Patriot. It reminded me of Bill Belichick's teams in a way, but this was a Mike Vrabel ran comeback, and it really showed the energy, especially going on to next week at the Jets, where they absolutely obliterated them, 42-10. The Jets didn't get a lot going. Drake May was sat midway through the third quarter. He was set to have a record-breaking game. If he did stay in the game, he already had 5 touchdowns in the third quarter. They sat him for the fourth, but there it was just a dominant game from the Patriots. Really showed their force. Then went to Miami for the last week of the season. They were competing for the 1 seed. If the Patriots won and the Broncos lost, they would have gotten the 1 seed, but the Broncos unfortunately won that game. The Chargers were starting their backups against Denver, so there wasn't really much of a chance that the Patriots could get the 1 seed. But they were playing for it anyway. Another dominant game for Drake May and the Patriots, 38-10. The Dolphins didn't have really anything. Starting backups, and the Patriots took advantage of it, which what you're supposed to do in the NFL. Great way to close out the season at 14-3. Just an insane rebound from 4-13, a great year. And now we're gonna get into the playoffs. Um, this was the when you really started to see maybe a little nerves from the Patriots offense and Drake May. Obviously Drake May is 23 years old. This is his second year. I just didn't think he had it in the playoffs. Um, he seemed rushed, dropping back, just looking everywhere across the field. Couldn't really pin one guy down. He missed open guys. But they were lucky enough from the defense to show out and win, which I think is a great thing that the Patriots had this year was a great defense. They beat the Chargers 16-3. The Chargers did not know what to do against this Patriots defense. You had Patriots defensive players being interviewed, saying that they didn't know what they were seeing out there, that the disguises were that good, that the Patriots defense just dominated against the Chargers. Same with the Texans. As you go on to the divisional round, the Texans, CJ Stroud threw 5 interceptions. 5 interceptions. Just like didn't know what he was doing. You had a lot of people saying, "Oh, CJ Stroud is bad, and that's why the schedule just continued." But I think CJ Stroud just had trouble reading this defense. You could say that it was the opposite, but I don't think so. I think the Patriots defense was that good this year, coached under Zach Kerr and Terrell Williams. Terrell Williams in the beginning of the year. Hopefully his recovery is going well. But they did really well in the wild card and divisional round and just showed the dominance of the defense 28-16. I think Drake May had this was the best game of his divisional round. I think it could have been better. Obviously, he fumbled twice, but I think that was his best game in the playoffs in general. Going into the conference championship game, 10-7, Patriots win. This game started really, really, really bad. Stidham, who was not supposed to play, Bo Nix unfortunately broke his ankle in the divisional round versus the Bills. He didn't know it until we got into the locker room, but the news came out and it kind of shocked everyone. And you had confident Patriots fans coming into the AFC Championship game. I was one of them. They started off really slow. The Broncos came out, scored a touchdown their first drive. It was 7-0. And then the Broncos drove again when the Patriots offense couldn't get going. They were in field goal range. It was 4th and 2. Sean Payton decided to keep the offense on the field, which was a moment that fans are gonna look back on and be like, why did Sean Payton do that? Because the game ended 10-7. It would have been a 10-point lead. It would have been 10-0. And it just they went for 4th down. They got stuffed by this Patriots defense that's been good all postseason, and it just ended up bad for the Broncos offense. The Broncos offense did come out on the field. Jarrett Stidham threw a backwards pass, which the refs didn't catch on time, but he did throw a backwards pass recovered by the Patriots. They blew the whistle, so that's what Mike Vrabel wasn't happy about. They scored a touchdown off of that by a Drake May running touchdown, I'm pretty sure. They come out at halftime, score 3, and then it started pouring snow, and it was just defensive game after that. The offense was just giving it to the Broncos defense, and the Broncos offense gave it back to the Patriots offense. Patriots offense gave it back to the Broncos offense, and that's really how it ended. 10-7. You had Drake May running for a first down. Just a great, great game. I wouldn't say great game. I would say it's a really just. This was a coaching game. This is a Mike Vrabel game, trusting in the defense, and that's what won the Patriots the game to get them to the Super Bowl. Which, as a Patriots fan, I couldn't believe they were back in here. After Brady left, I was a little kid. How old was I in 2020? was 12 years old in 2020. Brady was my childhood. I never thought the Patriots could be touched until this rough stretch of 4 years, which I know a lot of uh, fans of other teams will be like, "Oh, you're so spoiled as a kid." And yeah, I was spoiled as a kid. And now we're back in the Super Bowl, and I was like, that's basically how I felt all week, that I'm just grateful that I have a football team that is back in here already, that I've already seen 3 championships from. They're back in the Seahawks 2014, the Malcolm Butler game, as everybody knows. Um, they came in here, Drake May having a shoulder injury that he suffered in the AFC Championship game. Came out that he was taking shots, that he took shots before the game, after the game. He just did not look good. He was taking too long in the pocket. Will Campbell had a rough game. I love Will Campbell. I think he's going to be really good in the National Football League. He had a ankle issue that he should have gotten surgery on, in my opinion. But he was injured, as well as Drake May was having shoulder issues. That's no excuse, though. The Seahawks defense was really, really, really good. Um, the best defense, I think, in the league, in my opinion. I know it doesn't say that on paper. I think it says that the Texans were the best defense in the league. The Seahawks were the best scoring defense in the league. But the Seahawks defense knew everything that the Patriots were doing. They read Drake May's drop back. They saw that he was taking a little bit. They saw where he was scanning the field. And it just ended up being a dominant win for the Seahawks and an unfortunate loss for the Patriots. Um, One thing that stood out to me was the video that came out yesterday. Mike Vrabel saying we'll be disappointed together. It just shows that the coaching of this team is back. When we had 1 year of Gerard Mayo, which was a rough year with Gerard Mayo, just didn't really feel like he had the locker room. But Mike Vrabel has this locker room. Players love him, you can tell. Um, and I feel like the Patriots will be back. Um, you have a young quarterback, you have a young team, you have a coach that you have your coach. Josh McDaniels being back in Drake May's um, presence is just going to be a good fit. Josh McDaniels and Drake May. That Josh McDaniels is what made Mac Jones good for those couple years. Then Josh McDaniels left, and then you saw Mac Jones fall off a cliff. Josh McDaniels is here to stay. I don't think he's going to get another head coaching job anytime soon. So Drake May has an opportunity to really learn more under Josh McDaniels, and I think that's going to be a great opportunity. You could point to the schedule on why they got here, but I think this is just a team that's talented. Diggs, who became a huge leader for this team this year. You had a ton of leaders. Drake May became a leader. Mike Vrabel, you saw in the offseason videos, where Mike Vrabel was really pushing Drake May to be a leader in this offense, which I think was important. Was important for him to become a leader. And yeah, I think the Patriots have a good future. And I think the Patriots will be back next year, and I think they will have another chance at a Super Bowl. We'll be doing podcasts over the off season. Obviously, I'll be doing a Celtics All-Star Break podcast, which should come out very soon. Um, if you all want to subscribe or follow, that'd be great. But this is my first podcast, and I'm signing out. Aiden, and go Patriots.